PR Connections Radio presents
We Have the Power with Brian Gardner. Now, you notice my standard background is missing today, and that is because I had some guests, one of them that was an alternative and one that was the main guest for today that had some other issues come up that they had to be elsewhere. And so I'm going to do a different segment today. So you can see my collection of Hot Wheels and Matchbox back there. But I'm not going to be talking about Hot Wheels and Matchbox. What I'm going to be talking about today is organizing a successful musical group, something I've been doing for over 50 years. And we'll do that right after these messages. And I think I will impart some very important information for any of you who are in a band or thinking about starting a band right after this. It has been said that young people are the future of any country or any world. I believe that's true. And if you do, then together we know that we must invest in our young people. One of the best ways we can invest in them is by obtaining the booklets from the drugfreeworld.org Truth About Drugs campaign. The booklets, especially on marijuana, come in English, of course. This is something that is out there and is talked about a lot in the media, but it also comes in Spanish. And then there is a book that is a compilation book. And this one is very important because it covers things like alcohol abuse, ecstasy. We know that cocaine, crystal meth are things that are dangerous. Inhalants can be abused, and also heroin, LSD, and even prescription drugs. So it's very important to get these booklets that give information about what these drugs and what alcohol abuse will do. They don't say don't take them, which oftentimes turns young people off. They tell everyone who reads these booklets what this kind of activity will do. And in that way, we're investing in our young people and investing in the future of our country and this world. Just go to drugfreeworld.org and get these free booklets right away. So welcome to the segment of We Have the Power. I'm your host, Brian Gardner, and we're going to be talking today about something that I have experienced over the last 50 plus years, and that is being in a musical group. I started out as a drummer all the way back in 1969, and I certainly wasn't the head of the band. But as I continued, I had a developing interest in doing certain activities in the band. I found that I was a good communicator, so I was oftentimes in charge of booking the band, and I'll talk about what it takes to do that. And I found that staying away from alcohol abuse and drugs was the best way to get to the gig safely, on time, and then be able to play properly. And so I pretty much was a non-druggy, non-alcohol abusing musician all those years. I've had a few friends I've lost through those kinds of activities, but mainly I witnessed when individuals are abusing alcohol or taking drugs, the music suffers. So keep that in mind as we go through some of the guidelines that I think will be helpful if you're in a band currently, and maybe there's some problems, you want to have the band do better, or you're thinking about starting a group. So let's go through the important points. And I would say if you want to watch this segment again and take notes, or take notes now, you will have some valuable information in your notes that you can review anytime as you move forward with starting a band or progressing in the band you're already in. So certainly one thing that is very important is that there are certain duties and activities that need to be addressed in a band. And you take a look that the band has to be a team. People are supporting each other. You have to have common goals. band members have to be dependable. There has to be trust in the band, professionalism, and having fun, because if you're just going through and you're in the band and you're not having any fun, pretty soon one member's going to go that way, the other member's going to go that way, and pretty soon you won't have a band anymore. And you have to have gigs, otherwise the band will also suffer greatly. Now, when you go to pick the name of the band, it should be something easy to remember and easy that people can say. If it's a foreign word that's difficult to say, people are not going to remember your band, and they're going to go, what's the name of that band again? So I have, in the past, committed this crime, if you want to call it a crime. I was in a band called Temporarily Indefinite at one point. I don't know how we came up with that. We were a non-drug group, but I was in a band called Wasted Union, and then later on things seemed to get better. I was in a band called Mesa. My own band for 17 years was Manzanita. We played acoustic music, and my logo depicted that. And that's another thing to remember. Once you decide on a name of your band, you're going to want to have a logo that follows pretty closely what your band does. Now, let's take a sidestep for a moment and look at logos. Joe's Tacos is going to have fun letters because they want you to have fun when you come to get tacos from their place. But Bank of America is going to have these solid looking letters because they want to communicate through their logo that your money is safe in their bank. So they have these really strict looking, stable letters in their font, in their logo. So remember that you want to make sure that your logo speaks about the kind of music your band's going to play. And that brings us up to the next thing. You have to decide what kind of music you're going to play, of course. Now, the members. Let's talk about the members of the band first. Let's say you're the head of the band, you're the one starting the band, and you're going to start finding band members on Craigslist or going out to open mic nights and finding people. It may not seem like the most important thing, but the most important thing when you're talking to a prospective band member, and then we'll talk a little bit about established bands as well. But for right now, we're talking about forming a band. Really, they've got to have good transportation. And you might say, well, isn't it more important to have good equipment? Well, if they can't get to the gig, it doesn't matter if they have $4 billion worth of equipment. So you want to somehow, delicately, and manners are always important, ask them, hey, do you have good transportation? And if they say, well, my car breaks down often, but, I usually get there. Red flag. You cannot depend on a band member who gets there with 5 minutes before you start to be playing because he had to fiddle with his car because it wouldn't get him there. So that's very important. Good transportation. Certainly good equipment is important, and also, a knowledge about being a musician. How do you conduct yourself? The equipment, let's go back to that for a moment, doesn't have to be top-notch, the most expensive equipment. A lot of times, inexpensive guitars can sound very good. Inexpensive drum sets can be tuned up properly. Usually you want to, and they're not that expensive, get a Shure mic. I mean, they're around $100. But if you start getting a cheaper mic, sometimes it'll sound like this when they're singing, and your band's not going to be professional. Many places have a PA, but if they don't, you are going to have some sort of PA. So that is kind of the basics of equipment. And then you get into other things about, like I mentioned, the knowledge of being a good performer. How do you conduct yourself on stage? If you're going to be a team member, the drummer has to lay back while the guitarist is doing his lead, or the saxophone player is playing his or her lead, because the drummer's doing all kind of jazzy stuff while the lead player is going. That's kind of not supporting that player. So that is very important. And not having any vices that are going to get in the way of their musicianship, such as alcohol abuse or any kind of drug use. And if they have a very stressful life with a husband or wife, that can also be brought to the stage. And the two rules that I always used, and I never had trouble with musicians who were cool: no drinking while we're playing, no drinking alcohol while we're playing, and no drama. When you come, like, let's say this is the partition. Now, you can't see me right now because I'm off stage, right? The minute I'm in front of the audience, you have to leave this way. I get backwards. You have to leave the drama over there. You cannot bring the drama on your stage. I don't care if your favorite pet died. I mean, I do care, but for the band's sake, I don't care if your favorite pet died. If you just had a fight with your significant other, the minute you hit that stage, because the audience has come out of their homes to enjoy music and to be able to be entertained. They don't need to see the band members fighting with each other or a band member playing like this. And that brings up smiling. I don't want you to be phony and go, hey, yeah, come on. Yeah. People can spot phoniness, a mile away. But you should be having fun in the band you're in, and you should let people know you're having fun by smiling every once in a while. It is amazing how much better a band looks when they're smiling. So that is very important. Of course, choosing the music that you're going to play is important. Now, you might be playing a variety of original songs, and let's say songs from the 60s and 70s. That's okay, but the whole band kind of has to be in agreement. If there's one person that says, I hate originals, why are we doing those? Yeah, whatever. Well, maybe he's right. If you're going to be a dance band because people won't know the song, you may have to be a cover band if you're going to play those kinds of venues, those kinds of clubs. But if you're playing in a club where people are listening to the music, which is what I prefer, then you can play originals because the people are going, oh, there's a new song I haven't heard. So remember that as well in forming the band. Now, you need to establish a set list of the songs you're going to play that everybody has a copy of. Now, I know a lot of people use a Kindle and different things, and they have their songs electronically, and that's okay. But at some point, everybody has to, if some of the band members don't use an electronic device, then you've got to print paper set list because everybody's got to know what's on the set list, number one. Then number two, when you organize the rehearsal, you say, hey, in this next somebody's got to be in charge of running and organizing the rehearsals. Here's what time it is. Here's where the rehearsal is. Here are the songs we're going to be going over. And if they need sheets on the songs because they need to know how to play the chords, somebody has to make copies, email them, bring them to the rehearsal. Be better if you can email them so they have a little time to go over the song that maybe they've never played before, a cover song, especially if it's an original. Then you have to show them the song, but have sheets so they can look, at the sheet while they're playing the song because it's going to be brand new. And having this kind of organization at rehearsals will make your rehearsals 90% more productive. And I don't sling that percentage around loosely. If people come to the rehearsal and their sheets are not in order, I've experienced this myself with a guy that just could not. I'd email him and I say, here's the order of the songs we're going over. He'd come and he'd go, give me a minute, I got to put this in order. Took up 15 minutes to 20 minutes of the band's time while we're all sitting there. Yeah, got to come to the rehearsal ready to go. Your songs are in order. Okay, we're going over Proud Mary. Boom. The next song we're going over is Brown Eyed Girl. Boom. And if everybody has their binder in order or their Kindle in order, man, it's smooth. We go through the songs, go through the song, talk about it. Hey, let's do it once more. And remember on the chorus, but remember on the lead part comes in twice or whatever. Go through it once again, move on. You don't want to do a song 5 or 6 times. That's if you were going to go in the recording studio and it has to be perfect. The song has to be played right live, but it does not have to be perfect. Here's why. The reason it takes so long to record an album is they have to get the song perfect as they can, because you're going to be listening to it 100 times, 500 times. And if there's a mistake in the third verse, you're like, every time I listen to the third verse, I hear this mistake. That can't go. But live, a little mistake here and there it's gone. It's never going to be heard again, hopefully. And here's another thing. After you do a performance, at the next rehearsal, you talk about the performance. Say, hey, Proud Mary's too slow. We got to speed it up. Okay. Mental note, speed up Proud Mary. You get those kinds of things covered. So then there are certain positions in the band that are important to have covered. And you have to have probably one guitar, if not two. The reason it's good with 2 guitars, if you're a dance band, is while the one guitarist is playing lead, the other is playing rhythm, it supports the rhythm player. You're probably going to need a bass player, probably going to need a drummer. Probably if you're a dance band, having a drummer on percussion, you're going to have to mic him, and really most songs, if you're a dance band, require the sound of a drum set. Many times drummers are too loud, so you have to work on the balance. Somebody is going to have to sing, unless you're doing smooth jazz and you're just doing instrumental after instrumental. But if you're a dance band, you're going to need a couple of singers, and you're going to need to work out some harmonies. So you'll need someone who kind of knows music a little bit, who can help organize the harmonies. And when you're forming a band and you find out that everybody sings, then you kind of have to have a inter-band audition to see, well, who sings the loud songs and who sings the ballads, and work all that out. And that way you'll have your best singer on the best songs for them. I spoke already about someone to organize the rehearsals. That is vital. Yeah, we let Joe organize the rehearsals. He tells us what we're going to go over. He tells us when, where, and he also is the one that provides any sheets we need so we can get through the song. You don't want to have her go, what's the chord on the third verse? No, everyone has to have a Kindle or a sheet in front of them with the chords on the new song you're learning, new cover, so it just goes smooth. They can just look at their sheet and go, okay, good. Someone has to handle that. Someone has to do that part in a band. Now, once the band gets established and you have a couple of hours of music that is presentable, if you don't start getting gigs, it's like a plant that doesn't get watered. The band will wither because it's endless rehearsing. We know the songs, Charlie. How come we aren't getting gigs? Well, you got to have somebody who is going to take on the job of booking the band. It's a little hard if you have everybody booking the band, because if you aren't careful, you're going to double book yourself. And what do you mean we're playing on the 3rd at Joe's Bar? No, we're playing on the 3rd at Henry's. No coordination causes those problems. So it's better if one or at the most 2 people book the band. And the person that books the band has to be a good communicator. He has to know about manners. He or she has to know about manners and how to sell the band. If the person you're trying to get booked with says, well, check back with me, in a few weeks or something, one of the smartest things to say is, well, since I'm on the phone with you, Mr. Jones, why don't we pencil in next Saturday? Because you said you didn't have anybody for next Saturday. And if you've already got him some information on the band, he's heard the band because you sent some kind of demo. Then when you use this clever tool of, well, since we're on the phone, what if we pencil in Saturday? We could be there. We're available. You have to understand, if you become a problem solver for the person that books bands, he or she is going to love you. His or her boss demands that they get that Saturday filled. And if they, at that point when you're on the phone with them, do not have that Saturday filled, and you're saying the band is available and they've heard you and you sound good enough and you play the kind of music they want, all right, we'll pencil you in. And then, yes, I'll reconfirm it with you. Now, there's organization. The person booking the band has to go, got to call blah-de-blah back and reconfirm on Thursday that we're playing there Saturday. And to the extent that your booking person, not a person you have to pay a commission to, but the person in your band that does the booking, to the extent that they come across professional and organized, guess what it does to their viewpoint of the band? The band is professional and they're organized. Okay. Now, let me diverge to an interesting example. The Coca-Cola Company doesn't have any problem selling their product, and yet they spend $50 million on advertisements every year, because if you didn't hear a Coke commercial in 6 months, you'd go, what's wrong with Coke? I never see their ads anymore. And if you went to visit the corporate office for Coca-Cola, that thing is so clean. That office is so clean that you could probably eat off the floor. Why do they do that? Because if you walk in for a tour of the Coca-Cola office, their headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's messy and the receptionist is disheveled and there's people walking around who don't look dressed very well, you're going to go, ooh, I wonder if the Coke in the cans is not clean either. So it's important, back to the band, it's important that, hi, I'd like to book our band if we could, please pick somebody who can enunciate. Hi, my name is Brian Gardner with the Smith Jones Band. Have you got a moment? That is the number one thing you always must ask. Because if you do not ask, have you got a moment? And you try to give your spiel to this person who is going to possibly book you, and they have the phone ringing and there's an emergency in the bar and who knows what, it goes in one ear and out the other. If you say, hi, have you got a minute? Yeah, I got a minute. Sure. What's up? Well, I'm with the Smith Jones Band and blah, blah, blah. If they say, no, I don't have a minute, they see that you're mannerly enough to ask them that question. And let's say, look, I got an emergency. The ice maker just broke down. Can you call me back in 20 minutes? I do want to talk to you. Sure. Organization. Your person who books bands has to call back in 20 minutes. Otherwise, you look flaky. So always, this is such a successful thing. Hi, I'm with the Smith Jones Band. You're the right person to speak to about booking bands. Okay. Do you have a minute? Man, you sound so professional. And enunciate. Don't go, I'm a Smith Jones Band, and are you the person that books the band? And I'm not making fun of people that have a speaking problem. All I'm saying is, you don't want that person to be booking the band. It's got to be somebody that can enunciate. You don't want the person booking the band to go, what did you say? I couldn't understand you. Right away, the band doesn't seem good anymore. And now you're taking up their time and they can't understand you. So keep that in mind. The best person who speaks really well is the person to book the band. And also, dress for the band. If you're going to have, you don't have to have uniforms, but if the bands just show up, in a crappy looking t-shirt and whatever, and somebody else is wearing a nice shirt, the band looks uneven and looks unprofessional. So if the band is a grunge band and you want to wear jeans and t-shirts because everybody is, because that's the image, well, that's okay. But if you're a band that plays covers and as a dance band, it's probably a good idea to wear something like this, or maybe a t-shirt that's brand new. I personally don't like to wear jeans because anybody can get a pair of jeans. I wear black jeans or black slacks because right away it's like, ooh, and women are very sensitive to this. Look how the band is dressed. Wow, they took some time to think about this. Hey, kind of professional. Wow. And that'll help the band out tremendously. I talked about smiling during performances, and watching the audience is key, especially if you're a dance band. If you start to see the audience, going, and they're not dancing, maybe you're doing too many slow songs. Maybe you have a couple of good covers, but now you need to get back to covers. You have a couple of good originals, sorry. You need to get back to covers. Or maybe you need to play a different type. Or somebody should be taking a look, and this should be brought up at your next rehearsal after any performance. What songs didn't work? If Proud Mary isn't working, but everybody in the band likes it because it's easy to play, but nobody ever dances during that song, get rid of it. If you're a dance band, get rid of it. It's not working. Watch for that. We talked about band has to operate as a team, common goals, otherwise you'll be fighting all the time, dependability, and all of that. And then on breaks. Now, a lot of bands think that they've reached the pinnacle of music or something because they disappear. And that's really bad. Number one, you need to talk to the audience, see how they're enjoying the music. Audience really loves to meet the band members. Go out and be personal. Say, hi, I'm Joe, the drummer, and I want to make sure how you enjoying the music and all that. You don't have to be propitiative, like, do you like the music? Just be a normal person. Hey, I hope you're enjoying the music, and we're really enjoying playing for you. And if you have any requests, why, let us know. And then one of the band members has to go talk to the person that booked you. Hey, Mr. Smith, I think we're doing pretty good. A lot of people on the dance floor. Oh, yes. Yeah, I like your band. You're doing great. Just keep playing that kind of music. Or you guys are too loud. You're driving customers off. Hey, could you quit playing so many slow songs? People really want to dance to fast music. Come on. So you want that feedback, and you don't go, what a jerk criticizing us, man. We're doing the best we can. Wrong response. Thank you, Mr. Jones, for telling us. I'm going to go over this with the band members on our break right now. Now that guy that books you goes, wow, he not only accepted my comments, he's going to take it up with the band on the break. They're not going to play another set and then talk about it and keep playing the wrong music or too loud. And that raises you in his estimation. Hey, I can work with these guys. They'll listen to me. If one particular night they're too loud, they will drop the volume. One particular night, people want more slow music. Hey, I can work with these guys. I'll keep booking them. So that's very important to talk to them. And make sure you take a 10-minute break. No more. Do not let the breaks drift into, 12 minutes, 18 minutes. And the guy that books you looking at his watch going, when are they going to get back on the stage? Now, very important at the end of the night, you want to be careful about taking breaks. I know you're tired. It's getting to the end of the night. But if he has some people still there and you take a break, okay, honey, the band's taking a break. Let's go home. The place will empty out. It'd be better to push yourself, not take that break, and play till the end of the night when it's only an hour away, and you keep those clientele there. Now, I can't believe that a half an hour has gone by this quick, and I still have more items to go over. Now, two things I want to say. I will take up these other items in a future segment. If you have specific problems that you are experiencing, starting a band, running a band, being in a band, send me an email, bgardner2323 Again, that's bgardner2323 and I will get back to you and answer your questions. And I will go over more of my notes in a future segment right here on We Have the Power, because although my show is normally political, as musicians, we have the power to be successful or not using some simple common sense guidelines. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm your host, Brian Gardner.